Yes, dear. I'm happy to continue for a second part with you. Everyone, I guess, they will be very eager to listen to those feedbacks and your secrets in your great experience in Bundesliga. If you can please elaborate on them.
Okay. So as I said, that is the first time basically to publicly reveal the secrets of the Werder Bremen coaching. I'm not banned anymore with the contract, so that's pretty much okay publicly. So I said number one was the clear role definition, but something is new that regardless of status, which means that say our key player at that time up forward was a closer, and in the midfield was Diego Ribas. Diego had totally freedom from Thomas Schaaf to do everything possible because he was an artist. But it doesn't mean, that was stripped from the defensive duties. On the contrary, when we were off possession, he has defensive duties, and that was a non-negotiable, you see. So today you see many fantastic players like Mbappe and the others as well, not so much contributing in the defensive duties, which really crippled any team. So at that time, Werder Bremen wasn't okay. So we give freedom to the players, but when we don't have a ball, everybody is contributed, and that was fantastic. That was the first secret. Second secret was discipline through the culture, not punishment. So say, for example, your player is late for training, okay? We didn't punish him. We went through the culture. What does it mean? He is off the session, but he must wait in the changing room the rest of the squad after training. So when we come in, everybody see that he was late. So that's not a punishment. That's a culture. Next time, he never will even think to be late, because it's more shocking when your peer teammates telling you something wrong than the coach, So Schaaf was very tough with the rules and regulations, but never punished the player. So our punishment was embodied in the culture. Then, for example, Schaaf never went publicly to say, Juni, you was the best player in the match, man of the match. No. He praised you in the changing room, in his office. Fantastic. I'm very happy how you did, how do that, this and that. But never in the public, because he want to protect the unity. For him, the team was important. And in public, he always say, my team played fantastic. I give compliments to everybody. We were very strong in defense, quite clear in attack, and razor sharp in transition. Okay, when we go to the changing room, then we say, okay, Klose, you did a great job scoring 2 goals. My God. So that brings a unity, and everybody was important, even people of the bench. That was one of the secrets why so many years we had the success almost with the same people, Then, for example, tactical freedom within a structured frame. So, for example, we played very commonly 1-4-4-2, but many times when we chase the results and we want to more score the goals, then we went to 4-3-1-2, which means 3 in the midfield, very versatile midfield. Diego was one in attacking midfield, okay, behind the 2 twin strikers, yes. Almeida from Portugal, you know him, and the closer were up front. Yeah. But when we attacking left and right, we had Fritz and Wome from Cameroon, fantastic players, wing backs. Then Diego was false 9, creating 3 people in the penalty area, and that was pretty much so. For example, tactical freedom, you interchange, you rotate, you bring in yourself. Okay, of course, your place will be covered immediately, shifting left or right or whatever. All right, but that was one of the secrets, and at that time was something unique, something revolutionized, because it's not like today. That was almost 20 years ago. So that was absolutely something new in the term of the tactics. Okay. So then, for example, human connection. As I told you, Shaf was the guy who was born, lived, and raised in Bremen. He knew everybody. Everybody knew him, so he wasn't unknown there. Just came from a side. No, so many years he spent there. He was a former Werder Bremen player as well. Even played for German national team. So everybody know, and he exactly knew. That was, for instance, a problem in Saudi Arabia, where you work so many coaches from all over the place, all over the world, fantastic coaches, but many not staying more than a couple of months. Even Mancini, you see, with the national team, because simply they don't understand the culture. They cannot assimilate themselves in the Saudi society, you know, because it's totally different than in Europe, for example. And these are the secrets, you know, of the Werder Bremen, which Xhunejd, I didn't need to invent anything in my life. I took them with me because they were part of my philosophy and my approach to the rules and regulations of the football game. And update, I'm following these rules, you know, and really was very successful with them.
Was great feedback there, and hopefully I will go back to the video when we upload it in YouTube in case I miss any one of the points to write them down, and I think it's going to be very, very beneficial for a lot of coaches out there. Because as you mentioned in the beginning, the objective of this is contributing with advices. Because everywhere nowadays, you know, you want to get a seminar, you have to pay a lot of money, you know? If you have to go in person or if it's online.
Judy, sorry, if you are accepted,
If
not
you're
just
accepted,
money.
yes, also, yes, for sure, for sure. Dear, considering that you have had more than one role in your coaching career, when we mean coaching career, your career is still going, but we mean until now, because your career is very, very wide with a lot of great contribution. I wanted to ask you, what is more enjoyable for you, being a director or being a technical director or being a head coach?
It is the same that you are asking me. I have two kids, and which one I love more. So it's not possible, right?
Yes, yes.
Because every job, head coach or technical director, has his opportunities, possibilities, enjoyable moments, okay, challenges, success. What you can achieve as a sporting director, you cannot achieve as a head coach. And other side, of course, being a head coach is more exposure. Everybody knows you.
Yes.
You are the guy who can be promoted in 24 hours. As a technical director or sporting director or director of football is also a popular term. Pretty much they are the same. Today is a very important role. You see the clubs start chasing the sporting directors like players because they have a knowledge. They understand. They can save you money. They can save you time. They can bring you to success. Because if sporting director is not working properly based on objectives of the club, the head coach is just a muppet. What he can do alone there, you know. So that's pretty much. But to be honest with you, when I am younger, I enjoyed being on the field. I was a player. How I can go a sporting director, because, you know,
Sure.
I need to run with my players. I like to play as well, and I have to show them, demonstrate, etc. You know. But by age, I'm over 60 now. It's totally different, you know.
Oh my
now
God!
you want to share
like
experience.
At your 40s.
Now
you take care
thank
of
you very
yourself.
much. You know,
Always
but look, I'm
active
not smoking. I'm not drinking.
you're always active,
I'm
yes.
just living healthy life. I like football. Maybe some of these points brings you light why I look so younger. You know. So thank you very much, my friend. But by age, you go more toward the management. You know, because you want to share. And you look at me, for example. I achieved many things. I was promoted to one of the best 5 leagues in Europe. I coached 4 national teams, some of them as a head coach, some of them as an assistant coach. It's a lot, you know. So as a coach, I almost achieved everything. Just haven't been in the World Cup. But I played qualifiers with these national teams, for example, you know. But now I feel more, especially after my experience with FIFA, that I bring a lot of experience, cutting edge of the modern technology and the knowledge to the clubs, that they are not struggling. Some of them are very good, but they just rely on money, buying the players. It's not a long-term process. You need a good sporting director who will bring stability in the club, be the conscious of the club,
He's
always telling
the
the
brain of the
truth.
club. Recruiting,
Yes, of
you
course,
know,
you
he's
know, and then
recruiting the
same
right
you.
people.
Everybody now say about Paris Saint-Germain, yeah, yes, coach, fantastic. But look at the technical director. Nobody even knows his name. But he made this that Messi is not in the club, Neymar not in the club, and they paid a lot for that. You know, now they have a younger generation. Who brought them? Not the coach, of course, sporting director and his unit.
Yes.
Coach just, of course, had a final touch. Now he made the dressing room healthy, and immediately they took the results. So I'm now more toward the technical director or sporting director. Of course, I never will refuse head coach position. It was very tentative, especially if somebody offer you good money and good project. But if I can choose, I will rather go to the sporting director job, because I want to see younger coaches like you, that they are flourishing. I didn't have that opportunity. I have that legacy, my God, that I helped people to go up, that I bring so many different cultures and nationalities in the club, and they are working together and helping head coach in my club, you know, that be at its best. This is pretty much telling you, this is my professional attitudes and individual opinion. Of course, doesn't mean anything with the others. I praise, for instance, Ancelotti. He's still going with the coaching,
Yes.
and
Yes.
he's older than me. My God, I just really give him a huge compliment. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking, why you need that? You have so many millions. You have everything. Go
Sure.
for sporting director.
Yes.
Take another generation of the coaches in Italy. They're now struggling. You see, cannot find the coach for the national team. So these coaches should go there, and, for example, you know, but still he's keep going. But might happen also that he ruined his career, you know, because
Yeah.
you never know. He's good. He would challenge Brazil, nice, fantastic, but they qualified. But if they did do nothing in a World Cup, so his career is finished. So,
Yes.
but everybody has his own choice, Xhunejd. This is my suggestion. I feel that way, and everything has some phase in our career, you know. Now you need a head coach position yourself. For 15 years, most likely you will think like me. And also, you know, it's a burnout process. If you're so many years head coach like me, look at what happened to Klopp last season. Couldn't make it to continue. It's a burnout. You cannot. No energy. It's a crazy. You play 60, 70 matches. Every day you are proving yourself. Every day you are like in the airplane with emergency landing. It's a pressure is unbelievable. Your heart, brain, everything suffer. Not mentioning your family.
For sure, dear. Well, as you mentioned, you know, there is a different type of enjoyment, you know, when you're as a director, when you're as a coach, when you're in the national team level, when you're in the clubs level, all these type of enjoyments, as long as you're useful, uh, it will give you satisfaction. But the base for all of us is that we're a coach, you know. But with an age, there is a certain preferences, you know. When you're young, as you said, you cannot think as director because you don't have the experience. But when you grow older, it's not just about the achievements of winning games or just getting a good budget, as you mentioned, because you already had that, but you like more to contribute. You want to see people progressing and then to be as much useful as possible in your environment. I would like to go to the fifth question, which is what advice do you give to the coaching generation? Do you think they should stick to their own pathway? Now, sure, it depends in which stage of their career they are. But let's say for the younger coaches, do you believe they should start as a head coach in the grassroots and work all the way on their own profile, or better to join a staff because they can get a mentorship, then after they can shift on their own way?
As I told you, this is a total individual, you know. Somebody for the medical sciences, somebody is for the show business, somebody is for the army, military services. It's all individual. But if we go down to the question you ask for, I always suggest go to the grassroots. You know why? No stress, and you will learn the business. That's the important, very important. When I say grassroots, everybody say, "Oh, this is the low, nothing, no money there." Oh my God! If you were a professional player, you have some savings. You are not under pressure financially, but you need to know the job. You know that some younger coaches had the opportunity to straight away go into the head coach position. How many succeed? Just a few, very, very few, because they don't know the business. As I told you, when you are a player, even the best player, Mbappe or the others, you're thinking about yourself. When you go as a head coach, you think about 27, 30 people with different nationalities, with different culture. You cannot say to the player from Africa who is all life thought technique, that think tactically and this and that. It's not possible for him.
Yes.
So, for example, you know, so he needed time, etc. If you don't have experience as a coach, you fail. And if your players and dressing group is unhappy, you're finished. So go to the grassroots. If you're really, really ambitious, but let me tell you, either you go grassroots or somewhere else, two things are very important to determine your future career: passion and energy. If you have energy and passion, it's not just that you like ball and this and that. Passion to succeed, energy to go through, then it's okay. You can belong to some coaching staff as assistant. Say, for example, a typical example is Mikel Arteta. Remember, he started with Guardiola at Manchester City. It was very valuable for him. 3 years there, saw how they play. They share quite the same values, you know. They are both Spaniard. They understand each other well, language, culture, playing philosophy. 3 years there, and then was offered from Arsenal, and he took the chance. Okay, and still struggling. Listen, he's 5 seasons there, no trophy, nothing. He's getting better and better, but no trophy, nothing. So it's a very, very difficult task to do.
Sure.
But at least he learned some things, but obviously came to the point that he needed mentors, as we already discussed in our questions. But, you know, Arteta's ego is quite high, and we will see how he will do it, you know. But next season, his credit is finished. If he didn't, if he is not going to deliver good results, which means minimum Champions League and one of the trophies, 1 of 5 available for Arsenal next season, I'm not sure that he will be in charge for the season after.
Sure.
So my really short things is go to the grassroots. If you have more passion, more energy, go to the coaching staff with one of good coaches, but coaches that you are very similar with. Yeah. If you're, for instance, Arteta, don't go to Klopp. This is totally two different styles, you know. Yes. Go to Guardiola, who is the same like you, for example, you know. So this is pretty much, you know, but
so being aligned, you mean being aligned, working, for example, for a young coach, working in the grassroots, and also look for a mentorship meanwhile.
Absolutely. And it does last too much. It's maximum 2 years, because usually players finishing 34, 35, up to age of 38, you grab the licenses. You have 2 seasons, say like that, in the grassroots, okay? You going to study trips around in Europe or famous clubs that you see how they work, how they behave, okay? And then you are ready. Then you're ready. If you don't want to go to the lower league as a head coach, go to the Premier League and be the staff member. After another 2 seasons, okay, you might be ready to take a head coach position and sustain your career, not to kick yourself out after 2 months there, 2 months there, 3 months there. What you did. Remember the great Maradona, unfortunately, you know, passed away. Yeah. For me, one of the best players ever. But you know, his coaching career, you know, just because of his name, he took some opportunities, but failed all of them. Even in Emirates was kicked out after a few months, So he's not coaching is very difficult. It's not for all
Sure.
people. Or for instance, Nagelsmann, now head coach of the German national team. He never played professional football, was some player, had some injuries, blah, blah, blah. But the guy is pretty intellectual, and starts very well his coaching career, but also starting from a low profile and now came to the biggest post in his country. So it's all individual, but I'm telling you, if you don't have a passion and the energy, better don't do it. Go to
Sure.
the
Sure. Also, the
go to the
pathways,
management.
yeah. Also, the pathways will be different depending on your career. If you have been a former player, for example, Xabi Alonso is different from another coach who is not known, in his community. If you have been like a local player, for example, players like Company, let's say I can give you an example from Albania national team. You have Pablo Zabaleta, the first
Yeah, I know.
coaching, the first job he got Albania national team assistant coach. He go to European Cup within his first year of his career. Then it's different.
Good decision.
Yeah, for him it's good. For him, it's good
Yeah, of
because
course.
immediately he jumped so many stairs. But and also he can get mentorship in the same time. But I'm saying, as you mentioned, if you don't have the discipline, if you don't have the motivation, if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the energy, you can't, because you are not
It's
already
not possible
someone very big. You have to work to be there.
because this job will swallow you if you don't have energy and passion. It's everyday training, twice a week is traveling, 2 or 3 games, dealing with the players, dealing with the fans, with media, everybody against you. This is the nature of the game. So if you don't have energy and a passion that you sustain, you like it, you put everything in, your family is suffering, you won't last long. So this happening for many coaches.
Dear, part of how I like to do certain stuff is to ask some of my guests certain fast questions, need quick answer, to kind of catch them sometimes
Okay.
unprepared. What would you say is the most uncomfortable moment in your career?
Ah, it's hard to say, but I will concentrate on the two things, not just one, but they are rely on one to another. So leading, I had unfortunate circumstances that I leading the teams in Libya and Sri Lanka during the civil unrest in the both countries.
Hmm.
So you have to carry on as a head coach. You have to carry on with your duties as a human. You suffer with the people. You see the struggling, but you have to be professional enough because you put at stake a lot of responsibility as a head coach. Whatever happens, for instance, now you see Iran or whatever. But if their national team has games, they have to play regardless where, because FIFA say, okay, you have to jump in
Yes.
or quit. Of course, the national team never can quit. So it happens to me in Libya and Sri Lanka during the civil unrest that I led the national team in the qualifiers and in the FIFA games. So that was pretty much very, as you said,
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable moment. And second one is to bring the player to your dressing room or your office as a head coach and telling him that he's not in the team.
Yeah.
So of course, we have just 11 places and 7 on the bench, but it's very uncomfortable. You go politely, you have to explain. His brain understand, but his heart cannot accept. So that's these two moments are the most uncomfortable in a career in my coaching career. So far.
Okay, because these are quick, fast, tricky questions. Maybe they don't need to be related together, but I want to kind of catch a little bit certain people unprepared. How would you handle the press of PSG to Inter? If you saw, for example, in the Champions League, if you're a coach, you prepare certain setup, and in the kickoff, they just decide to give you the ball and they start pressing you. What would be your reaction as a coach on that moment? Because it's all about the momentum.
You
It changes. It changes.
uh, brother, you remind me on my UEFA instructor when I was passing the UEFA Pro license.
Really? Yeah?
Oh my God, you're asking me a top question like for the UEFA seminar, to answer you in 1 minute.
Yeah, I know.
So
But you know,
I
sorry to
just I
interrupt
just
you
hope
here.
that you forget your watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but I know, that's why it's very tricky. But why
Look,
I mentioned that because Inter was supposed to press PSG and they decided to just press them, from the beginning.
I'm just joking with you, no
Yeah,
problem. Honestly, I'm like a robot. When you ask me, of course, that I have to be quick because maybe you ask me during the game. I have to straight away answer you. No
yeah,
time to waste because I have to
yeah.
give instructions to my bench.
Yes, yeah,
My players are already warming up. I'm 2-0 down. I have to change. So don't worry about it. I'm just joking with you.
yeah, yeah. No, no, I
So for
agree.
example, let me tell you uh, what I saw in PSG games. They all put the pressure in the middle of the park, so they are more focused centrally. So if I'm Inter Milan coach, I will suggest my players to go wide to use the width because obviously you see they played with 5 players in the midfield, PSG, 4 back, and these 2 wingers, Bacola and the other Dembele, they are not wide when he's a press. They are coming in the middle space, okay, half space. So logical is that I say my players and Inter had really the freeze that Dutch guy and the other Di Marco,
Yeah,
very good players who are basically wing backs. They're a huge weapon. Play wide. Then we will force these guys to move one side or another, which is good for us because both wing backs are also good with a long ball. So it might be a good weapon against them. Inter is a slow, very tall center backs. They cannot afford to go through the center, whereas Paris Saint-Germain is the strongest. So this is what I will suggest. One thing. Let me see. Then, for example, if we building up, I will tell my wingbacks, go halfway, stretch them, don't bring them back because the PSG have a very quick players back. They always go with a high line. So if we have a wingbacks and we have a Thuram, then stretch the field, spread out. This is the option because Inter is much slower, but wingbacks are quick, fantastic technical players, and go half space, half line. So stretch them out. You understand?
yeah, yeah,
So
for
this is
sure.
a second
We
what
need
I will do. Yes. Switch a play quickly. So for example, we start with the goalkeeper, play to one center back, okay, immediately play to these wing backs to the middle line. Both are very strong. What does mean? Immediately Paris Saint-Germain, they like to run. They will go one way, then start. If we are successful to receive the ball, to get the ball to our wing backs, immediately a long ball to other side.
switch, yeah, to the weak side.
These are the things that we have to consider. Then rotational, for example, which I didn't see during Inter Milan matches against PSG. For example, a rotational build-up. What does mean
Yeah,
rotational build-up? If you have a goalkeeper, you have 2 center-backs, and we build up, right? Ball should be kick off from the last line. Why not on earth? Wing back go forward, center back goes to the wing back position wide, okay? Then one of defensive midfielders, for example, Çalhanoğlu, will come to the penalty area. You understand? Very simple thing because you see this is rotation,
to find the
and
free player.
this midfield won't follow Çalhanoğlu. You know why? Because opening the space in the midfield. Then,
Free
if
player.
opening space in the middle, goalkeeper simply can play to Thuram or Lautaro, to the middle. In the center, you have 2 very big, strong players, and this is a tricky for Paris Saint-Germain. They are not naive or dumb, so they will stay where they are. So rotational, but you see, Inter Milan didn't do that. They were so obvious when they play build up, and with the
Yeah,
quick players for PSG, they put the pressure easy win the ball from them. It was a crazy, honestly.
No creativity.
That is was what I saw, what I will do if I was a head coach, for example, you know. And what I can say to you as well, vertical progression. Vertical progression. You have a Thuram. He made it fantastically, honestly. Why not, for example, goalkeeper? Center backs go wide, wing backs go forward. Okay, Çalhanoğlu come back. All right, the other two midfielders go back. What will happen in the middle of the park? Staying who? Staying Lautaro, staying Thuram, and staying another attacking midfield. So 3 against 2 center backs from the Paris Saint-Germain. You understand? Goalkeeper kicks the ball vertically. Another great thing. Thuram receive, drop back immediately, long ball toward the wings, left or right. You see how it goes. Few times they made against Barcelona, if you remember.
Yeah.
But against in final Paris Saint-Germain, 0. I don't know why. I really don't know why. And for example, you know, and the last, what I will do, for example, so-called psychological composure. What does it mean? You see, Paris Saint-Germain in the final remind me a lot for Klopp tactics. High octane game, you know, motor bicycle game. Why on earth they didn't calm down? What does it mean? Goalkeeper has a ball. Invite the press. They never invite the press from PSG. They immediately from goalkeeper, center back, kick the ball wide, press there, 3 against 1. Stronger players, more faster players. PSG took many balls in the final third from Inter Milan. But goalkeeper has a ball and wait. Wide center backs go wide. Goalkeeper is alone. So deliberately must somebody go to step against goalkeeper, which means 1 player less in the press of Paris Saint-Germain against goalkeeper. You understand me?
Yes.
Then goalkeeper before Paris Saint-Germain player come just to pass the ball wide to the winger or pass to the center back or pass to Lautaro in the middle. He had no options. They didn't do that. So these 5 things I noticed, especially I watched Barcelona half final, you know, Inter Milan, great play, scored even 4 goals. My God, what I told you about tactics they play against Barcelona, but they didn't implement in the final. Xhunejd, I have no idea why. And this was a huge mistake, especially for the head coach, who already said that he will leave the club on the eve of the final. That was disaster, honestly. Such a professional Inzaghi. That was a huge mistake.
Huge mistake. He already signed with Hilal, yes. Well, dear, it was a great pleasure having you here. We all benefited a lot. And I wish, as you have already been before in Saudi Arabia and contributing here in the Premier League, I wish we can see you again. Not because that might be the best offer you will get, but because me personally, I would like to be very close to you and other people benefit and see your input in the professional league in Saudi Arabia against the best coaches, because all of them they're kind of coming again to Saudi Arabia. I would like to see you there.
Look, you know, to be honest with you, everybody would like to go to Saudi Arabia. Many people go because of money. I'm one of the rare players who will come to Saudi Arabia to share my knowledge because I was there. I coached the Al Riyadh club. But I have to tell you something that is not absolutely critic. I like really Saudi Arabia, but I have to tell you something. Saudi make one big mistake. They bring the coaches, football officials, because of the trends.
Yes.
They are not bringing the people who will leave the legacy there. You know, like, for instance, Cristiano Ronaldo. He is leaving the legacy. Yes. He earned money, but he's leaving a legacy. Look at the other coaches. Name me 2, 3. You know, you will need 1 hour to remember the coaches who leave the legacy in Saudi Arabia because they come because of money. But Saudis bring them there, you know, because of trends. Okay, wow, at the top of the world is Portugal. Bring Portuguese, bring. Somebody took the photo with Mourinho. He is already coaching in Saudi Arabia. He doesn't go anywhere. I mean, you understand? No, I'm brutal, but I'm honest.
No, you're honest.
I would like to help there. If I go there, even when I ask anybody in a Riyadh club, finish the training. I came 3 hours before. My players coming 15 minutes before training. I came 3 hours before. I leave the club after 3-4 hours. I was whole day there. I teach the people in the management. I teach there. We play against Al Hilal, half final
Also
of
changing, you
the
try to
King's
change
Cup.
mentality. I know. You try to change
Absolutely, I want
mentality.
to leave the legacy, but people just think about money. They like for Facebook, like good photos with famous players and the coaches. And what Saudi Arabia has of that? Mancini was there. They are preparing for World Cup. Their national team is not ready at all. If tomorrow is a World Cup, this will be a disaster. So it's not the way how you prepare the team. And somebody say 34. It's tomorrow. Hey, come on. You need a strong generation now to prepare. If Saudi not going to the quarterfinals, that will be disaster for football in the country. Trust me. So now is the time. They need the people like me who will be hardworking, leave the legacy there, and teach generations of the people after who are coming. But for love, you need the two people. This is their choice. Let's see what will happen.
Well, it was a great pleasure having you here, dear, and I'm almost 100% sure that we'll have other topics that you might be involved.
Thank you very
There
much.
is a
Honestly,
lot
I'm
of
honored
things.
that you
There is a
invited
lot of,
me.
yeah.
And will be my pleasure, to be your guest again in the near future. Okay, and I wish to send a salam to all the people that are listening us, followers, football fans in Saudi Arabia, and wish you all the best, guys.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.